What's up, voters? Welcome back to a brand new episode. I'm your host Disco, and today we're going to be talking about the 2022 governor elections. This is like part four, I believe. Part five. This is actually part five. My apologies, and this will most likely be the final part. So let's dive in because we still have a limited time. Now we'll go into the next state, Oregon. Oregon is blue. It was voted for Biden by 16.1 points and voted for Clinton by 11 points. Actually voted. It's been generally Democratic over the years. So you would think a Democrat would easily win, but there's a bit of a catch to it. The incumbent governor is retiring. I think term limited, but still. So yeah, there's two Democratic senators from Oregon. They're both they're both heavily popular. Both won their re-elections multiple times by over 15 points, and it would not surprise me if they continue more. But this is going to be interesting. For the first time in Oregon's history, there's a three-way race and all women. Tina Kotek. I am sorry if I'm butchering the name. Sorry if I butcher anyone's names. I am terrible with names. The Democratic nominee, Tina Kotek. The Republican nominee, Christine Drazan, the highest pitched voice I've ever heard in my life. And the independent, non-affiliated candidate, Betsy Johnson. You should actually see them in a debate. It's actually pretty cool hearing from them. Housing is pretty much the same forever. Now, reviews, they've all had like generic viewpoints, with Betsy Johnson being the only one that had a bit more liberal policies. She does political position. Oh, she's a conservative more. I heard that she was more liberal than any of them. Yeah, she's a bit more conservative than I realized. My apologies. She's considered a moderate and a conservative member, so she's one of those outrighter Democrats. So yeah, I think Christina Dazzy has the Trump endorsement. I think so. Okay, so here, I've never seen so many endorsements in my life for this. Betsy Johnson has both Democratic and Republican support. Christina Dazin does not have the Trump endorsement yet, although she does have the Glenn Youngkin and Larry Hogan support. Tina Kotek has Elizabeth Warren, Jeff Merkel, and Ron Wyden. That support will be helpful for Democrats, but for Republicans, it will be, if they actually campaign on issues, they would actually have a shot at winning. But this could be interesting. This is the first time I've seen Oregon and not Oklahoma, and weird. Let's pretend we never saw that. What about Ohio? That's a bit better than I thought. But either way, Oregon. Oh, the Republicans winning. So it appears to be a Democratic split in the ticket. Some have been saying, by some of these polling, so Dazin leading by a point, and Kotek leading, but yeah, let's go to Oregon. But let's not be, but I'm going in this with the idea that there's going to be a split in the Democratic ticket and in the Republican ticket. I do not think it would be an even split. And Dazin by 1 point. Oh, so we're going to have to look at history, though. Could a Democrat win in there? A Democrat winning in here? Yes, because a Democrat governor has been with them for so long. I mean, we're going back when Oregon was more red. This is a continuous streak. They have not elected a Republican governor since 1982. Ronald Reagan was president at the time. So yeah, this is This is the last time a Republican was elected to the governor of Oregon, and yeah, in presidential 1984. Yeah, let's go to 1980. 1980, Reagan won this by 9 points, and then won it by 12. Actually, it did flip for Dukakis. So yeah, it has been reasonably getting more and more Democratic, with the suburbs growing around Portland. So with originally I was going to put this as a lean Republican, but then the Dobbs decision happened. That changed everything. That put balance and everything. But once I heard about this independent candidate actually having a shot at winning, now now we're going to put this as a lean Democrat. So yeah, I have no idea what else is going to happen. I must wait. I must see the votes. Well, I can't see the votes, but I must wait for polling data. So yeah, the next state, Pennsylvania, 19 electoral votes. Originally 20, but then it's a Rust Belt state, so 19. So yeah, so we all have heard about Pennsylvania. Obviously, we've heard of Pennsylvania. If you're in the United States, you'll hear about it. You'll hear about it in geography class. But Pennsylvania has been getting a bit more news coverage than usual because of the primary candidates. And let's go talk about it. The Democratic. Now, I must, for purposes, the incumbent, the governor of Pennsylvania is term limited, Tom Wolf. He cannot run for re-election. He was super popular. He won by like over 15 points in a state that Trump won in 2016. So yeah, the Democratic nominee is Josh Shapiro. He is the current Attorney General, 50th Attorney General, and he could be an incumbent, but obviously he's running for governor. Now, let's get some platform. So he's pro-abortion. He'll veto any law that would outlaw abortion in the Commonwealth. I did not know he was a part of any Commonwealth. Supports cutting some taxes, efforts to mitigate COVID-19 infection, which is popular. Supports tax refunds for gas, which is something very popular, and supports the American Rescue Plan. Okay, so he's so he could be quite popular. Now, Doug Mastriano. I do not care if I butcher his name, but he was in the military, so thank you for your service. But he got the Donald Trump endorsement, and he's an election denier. So this could be one of the first few states to actually have a QAnon conspiracy theorist in office. One of the highest office in Pennsylvania. Yeah, he's the Republican nominee. And there you have it. I'm waiting to be canceled. But yeah, so yeah, so platform for abortion. Now I'm gonna just supports outlawing abortions with no exceptions. I'm not even looking at the screen to know that. Christian nationalism. Whoa. Christian nationalism. So considered to be by far the highest. By far the highest. I apologize. Bitcoin. My apologies. But yeah, as you're reading that, Republican strategist Mike Murdo told Political Investor Christian nationalism is a movement. The separation between evangelical Christianity, white identity, and American nationalism is basically gone. They're merging into the same thing. Despite being commonly described as a Christian nationalist, Mastrino has rejected this label. Even though, if he's rejecting it, he actually might not be part of it. So he does support the combat climate change. Huh. Okay, I'm going to take back everything I said about QAnon conspiracy theorists until we can confirm it. My deepest apologies. voting restrictions and plan to only certify elections for Republicans. Although no evidence of compromised voting machines have been found, and although pending defamation lawsuits have been brought by both Dominion Voting System and Cermatic Corp against certain defendants who claimed otherwise, Mr. has said that if he's elected within his first days, he would immediately end all contracts with compromised voting machine companies. Mr. seeks to restrict voting. Now, as you can see here, he's basically a 2020 election denier. Basically, well, not 2020 election denier, but basically stating that he doesn't trust the elections. School funding cuts. Well, on the issue, Mr. Eno has called the cuts for public education. That's pretty bad because cutting education. Support for pseudoscientific conversion therapy. Okay, that is extremely dangerous. That already makes him dangerous. Supporting that already makes him dangerous to the country, and not just to Pennsylvania, but the entire country. So to Pennsylvanians, he's dangerous. In the general election, so he's making ties, and holy shit, I'm gonna cover that up. Yeah, he's a far-right Republican. Yep, he's far-right. I don't need to say more about that. So, but right after the Dobbs decision, it appears that Shapiro has been growing his lead into a 10-point victory. If we look at what do we look at the presidency in 2020? Biden won it by 1 point, and Biden won the state of Pennsylvania by 1 point in 2020. Shapiro is in the lead by 10 points. So there could be a 3-point difference. So just by this alone, I could say a 3-point victory. I could say like a 7-point victory. But Real Clear Politics says something else. Says the Republican nominee winning by 5 points. I'm gonna make this lean Democrat. Why? Because Pennsylvania is a swing state, and even though this year is not great for Democrats, it's also not great for Republicans because Republicans are deeply unpopular. Because why are Republicans so deeply unpopular is because of the Dobbs decision. They did their philosophy on pro-life has extended to the point where even some Republicans have disliked it. Say like for the state of Michigan, Biden only won it by 2 points, and yet by like over 57% of people in Michigan support pro-choice. That is an issue. And for Pennsylvania, that is also a big issue as well. It's not just become a state issue, as it's become a national issue. So we are seeing these swing states favor more Democratic than a typical year where Democrats hold all 3 branches of government, all three legislatures. Well, not all 3 of the legislatures are branches. They hold the legislative branch, and they hold the presidency. Usually they would lose the Senate. Usually they would lose the House, and the Senate would be up for grabs. And in this case scenario, if the Dobbs decision wasn't happening, they would lose both, and with huge landslides. But we're seeing something different, and Pennsylvania would have gone Republican. But not this time. I don't believe so. Now, let's go to our next state really quickly. We'll go to Texas. Now, why Texas? Well, in a year like this, let me just say who are the people running. The Democratic ticket, Beto O'Rourke. That name might sound familiar for people from Texas watching this video. Now, if we go back to 2018, Beto O'Rourke, he was the original representative in Texas's. See, O'Rourke. Yeah, he was the original representative of Texas 16th. This compromises with El Paso. Oh, they had two wins. Never mind. Well, yeah, he was the original representative of El Paso, Texas. So yeah, and he ran the Senate against Ted Cruz in 2018. How did he? And with Texas being known to be so red, and getting only 2 points away from actually winning against him, is insane. And this isn't the first time, and this is no coincidence that Beto O'Rourke is just like, oh yeah, he could win. Actually, there has been times where Democrats had chances to win. In 2012, Romney won this state by 15 points, a solid margin. Trump loses it by single digits. He loses it with a smaller margin. He wins it by a smaller margin than McCain in a year where Democrats were able to skyrocket. And then that effect also came into play in 2020, where Trump won it by 5.6 points, by 5.5 points. They should now. Democrats were expected to win by a lean margin, just under 5 points, but to get this close in Texas, may I remind you, in Texas, is shocking. Now, why is this going? Well, let's go for electoral reasons. Now, let's 1988, 29 electoral votes, 32 electoral votes by 1992. For the Bush election in 2004, 34. That's 2 more. Then 38, and they gained by 4 electoral votes. And now it's going to go up to 40. This is the second most populated state. It used to be one of the least populated states, and the rest of it used to be way more populated. Now Texas is the second most populated state. People are moving to the state for a specific reason. Better quality of living and better weather. I can say that for a fact. I live in flippin' Michigan. And I've been dying to get to Texas. Or should I move to Texas? Leave them in the comments down below. But the incumbent Texas Republican governor, Greg Abbott, is deeply unpopular, and for moral reasons, and can see why. He was used to be one of the most popular governors in Texas history. Well, not in Texas history, but he was one of the most popular governors in the country. After 2021, where he failed to get a grip of the energy crisis in his home state, where the ginormous snowstorm hit way harder than expected, and he sat back doing nothing. And his people were dying on the street. Beto O'Rourke did more, and he wasn't even in office. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez did more. Ted Cruz, unfortunately, the alien blob froze to death. Sorry, my apologies. But he did not froze to death, though. I think he tried doing something. I do not recall. But people from other states came over to Texas and actually did more work than Greg Abbott did in the legislatures. Now, the other reasons why Greg Abbott is so unpopular, he's not really aligned with Trump, although he's got the same viewpoints as Trump. He helped just recently. He helped provide a plane. He gave a plane to Ron DeSantis and flew a bunch of immigrants to an island in Massachusetts. I cannot think of that island right away in my head, but he has done that. Basically, this is not the same. This is a similar stunt with racist people doing. He has enforced laws just for discrimination and imposed an anti-abortion law. And when the Uvalde shooting happened, okay, I'm going to get real here. The Uvalde shooting, his response to it was excruciatingly painful to hear. 19 children died, 2 teachers died, and he sat back doing nothing. He basically condemned it, and that was it. So hearing that he's unpopular, who's the better option? Who are the better option? I don't know. I'm just an analyst that's telling people. Well, let's look at the Democratic ticket. Beto O'Rourke. He's lost he's won elections in Texas and he's lost elections in Texas. But he's running for governor. He's pro-choice on abortion. He has stated what he wants in he has focused on bipartisanship because Texas I'm pretty sure he has to because of the gerrymandering issue. And he believes that so far he can actually get things done with both sides of the aisle. Basically breaking up monopolies, basically a generic Democrat crime. He's taken a both stance approach, basically a both Democrat and Republican approach, and that's popular among everyone in the state of Texas. Legalization of cannabis that's supported by a majority of Texans. Foreign policy. I don't think foreign policy is right now a good topic to talk about right now because that's an issue that's outside the country. But environment, reducing greenhouse gases, basically gets shit done. Guns. Ever since Uvalde, he's been a very, very outspoken person. He took actually, both could have taken a political stunt, but he took Greg Abbott sat back, relaxing, probably drinking some weird soda. Well, Better Work campaign, and actually and basically said the gun laws. Said that there's basically no gun laws. We need to pass some that actually do stuff. So yeah, immigration, comprehensive immigration reform that basically does both a Republican approach and a Democratic approach. Religious liberties, social issues. Is against no taxpayer funding for Abortion Act. But basically, he's very moderate. But although he does carry a similar approach to both issues, he has some liberal positions that are very popular with Texans. Can he win? Not right now. He's trailing. Greg Abbott, and by 7 points. Now, if we look at like the generic, we look at 2020, Trump was only leading by 1.1. So that's about a 4-point difference. So I definitely won't say it is solid, but it will be likely though. And Texas is one of the hardest places to vote in. So he would have to convince a lot of Republicans to join with him. So we'll move on to our final state. And that is the state of Wisconsin. One of the most in my opinion, one of the most Republican states in the Rust Belt that is voting Democrat. Now, the incumbent Democratic governor, Tony Evers, and the Republican nominee, Tim Michels. Now, Tony Evers. Now, let's go and see what this guy is. Political position. See, I actually will mention that this isn't his first time. Okay. He has promised he'll promise to veto any legislation that clocks on reproductive rights. Focus on. Sorry about this pen. My apologies. Focus on bipartisanship, gerrymandering, criticizing it. For guns, supports universal background checks. Red flag laws, and yeah, healthcare. Basically wants to make it lower until 26, which is something new. I think it's 25 in the Affordable Care Act. Removing Wisconsin from the national lawsuit over seeking to overturn the Affordable Care Act and board Obamacare. So, I like. So, in June of 2019, Evers issued an executive order to fly the rainbow flag at Wisconsin's Capitol building for Pride Month, making it the first time the rainbow flag had ever flown above the Capitol. Marijuana legalization has campaigned on that. Roads, worse than the Nate. Okay, I just want to. I haven't been to Wisconsin, but come down to Michigan and see our roads. We have people dying every day for that. He has support to cut some taxes, although I could see that. Immigrations, disagrees with Trump on all issues. So he's basically this moderate. So he's basically like this moderate liberal guy. Now, political positions. He opposes abortion. For the Republican nominee, education. Has proposed a universal school choice and expansion on the state's private school voucher, basically giving the taxpayer monies to private schools. Okay, so same-sex marriage. Michels believes that the Republican nominee, Michels, said he believes that a marriage should be between a man and a woman. He's under criticism because he hasn't changed the viewpoint on that, which actually a poll came out with that, and a huge chunk of Americans, I remember saying a supermajority, it was like over 60% 65% said that they support it, support the same-sex marriage bill. They're delaying it, honestly. Now for the prediction. We'll go for a governor, not Texas. We'll go for Wisconsin. Now, Evers is leading by 1.5. But if we go to the presidential election back in 2020, Biden was leading by 8 points. Yet he won it by a tilt margin. So there's an 8-point difference. So we cannot trust these. So I cannot trust 538. I am going to have to go to Real Clear Politics. And I agree with the idea that Republicans are going to win. I say it by a lean margin based off these polls. Republicans aren't the most popular in the state. Well, they're not the most popular. They're not the most popular in the country, but Wisconsin is one of the fastest growing GOP states in the Rust Belt. And I take that back. It's one of those swing states that is trending so much so to the Republicans. But either way, I think Tony Evers is not going to win. I think the Republican Tim Michels is going to win. But that can change. Either way, it could change. So yeah, here we have the governor election 2022 predictions so far. Today's date is the 17th of September, 2022. This is subject to change. Why? Because it's only September 17th. 17th September. Oh, God, I'm screwing up my speech. This is only the 17th of September. Election day is in 51 days, 18 hours, 3 minutes, and 30 seconds. There's still a lot can change. More scandals can come out. Positions can change. Language can change. And debates can change it as well. I know there's some that need to do debates. Oregon did a debate with all three governors, and after that, things have changed. Well, debates change things. And they can also not change things as well. So we will focus more on the governor elections. We will also focus on the Senate elections and the House elections. But right now, things are so weird right now that the forecast has changed since the beginning of this election cycle. Time will tell who will take them. Will Republicans Will Republicans hold on to the majority of governorships in the upcoming 2022 midterm elections, or will Democrats surprise us by keeping all their governorships and possibly gaining one or two more? Time will tell. So my watch is not telling me anything, though. But either way, yeah. Anyways, but thank you guys so much for watching. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button. If you didn't like the video, hit the dislike button. I highly recommend that you, with an honest opinion, and please comment down below what are some improvements and what are things that you liked or disliked. I want to hear from people. This is democracy. Democracy should be at play. Well, not be at play. Democracy should be done. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you guys later.